It's kind of wild to me that it took 9 episodes for us to actually see these two characters reunite, but man, it was good. But with that said, hello everybody, welcome back to the channel, welcome back to another one of our weekly Beastars Season 2 discussion videos. Today we're here to talk all about Episode 9, A Busted Electric Fan. But before we get into the video proper, quick reminder if you haven't done so yet, to hit that subscribe button, ring that bell, set notifications to all, let all of AniTube know that you're here, and without further ado, let's go ahead and dig right into things, and I'm going to start by talking about Legoshi and Louis, because that's the thing I think that is the most intriguing this week. There's definitely other things that happened, but that was the one that stood out to me the most. So I want to start by bringing up the fact that when Legoshi sees Louis for the first time, and I don't even know how long it's been, but for the first time in a long time, and he genuinely assumed that maybe something like happened to Louis, right? Like he was genuinely like, maybe the dude's just dead. Like who the hell knows? Because it's been that long. He just doesn't know what happened to his senpai. And Louis even refers to him as his kohai, right? Like, but he has no idea. So when he's like caught by the Leo group or the Shishigumi, at first, it's a scary situation, because, like, obviously, you know, you're surrounded by mobsters, and they don't recognize you as, you know, the wolf who charged in and kicked their asses not that long ago. And so, obviously, you know, Legoshi's like, well, this is not a great position to be in. But then, when Louis shows up, the tail starts to wag, and that was genuinely really funny. I thought that was, like, just something about that was really cute, right? It was cute, but it was also funny, and just the fact that no matter how scary the situation is, just seeing Louis was enough to put Legoshi at ease. And that sort of brought a smile to my face. It was just cute. Because again, I used to ship Legoshi x Louis like crazy, right? Like I was like all about Louis and Legoshi. And I still think that their dynamic is incredibly important, but I've become like diehard Legoshi Haru at this point, that I just find Louis to be interesting in and of himself. He doesn't really need other characters to be interesting. Whereas like Haru and Legoshi are all the more interesting because of their relationship, although they are also interesting characters on their own. It's just that Louis, I think, is the strongest on his own. But that doesn't change the fact that, you know, I still felt some things when the two of them finally reunited, because it's like, oh man, the OG ship is back. And it genuinely just sort of picks up where it left off. But I will say, they even addressed this, the fact that the two of them have changed drastically. And they were both sort of unaware of the changes in each other until, like, towards the end of the episode. At first, Louis thinks that Legoshi was, like secretly eating meat this whole time, but he realizes, like, I don't smell any meat. All I smell on him is the shampoo that's at the school, right? So he's aware that, like, okay, so something's been up with Legoshi, like something's different about him. And he even says, like, you're freakishly big, right? Like you're a lot bigger than he used to be, and that's because my boy's been training. He's been getting swole, right? And Legoshi also notices that Louis is different, but even when he's in this darkened state, he's still the star of the show. Like, that hasn't changed. He's still on top. And I was asked this in a live stream about what I think will happen, like where I think Beastars is gonna go. And I was very vague about it because I didn't want to spoil anything. But I do think that this season will end with Louis going back. Like, that's just especially, like, I've always thought that. But after this episode, it really hammered home that I'm, like, 90% sure that this is going to end with Louis going back. Because when they get into the tussle, right? And God, that scene is cool, where, like, Legoshi just shows off what a badass, like, ninja-type character he's become. And it's super cool to watch, like, fighting off all the lions. But he has this moment with Louis where he says, like, okay, I don't have a whole lot of time, so I'm going to be super brief. I figured out who killed Tem. Right? And of course, Louis is like, what? Right? Like, holy shit. And he's like, but I can't do it alone. I literally need you. The school needs you. You have to come back. Right? Like, he doesn't tell him who it is, which is clever. Right? Like, I thought he was going to tell him who it was, but he's like, no, I'm not going to tell you who it is. The school needs you to come back. I need you to come back because I can't do this without you. So I need you. And then he leaves, right? And it's such a good scene because it hammers home again the dynamic of these two characters. Like the fact that Legoshi genuinely needs Louis, and Louis seemingly needs Legoshi, right? Like, when Legoshi sees Louis eating meat, it horrified him, because, like, that's not his senpai. Like, that's not who Louis is. Like, that's, like, it's just like a that's not you moment. And I do have a feeling like Ibuki's gonna notice this, right? Like, because Ibuki's a very clever dude, and we've seen the characters, like Ibuki being like the lion with the glasses. We've seen Ibuki notice little things about Louis and notice that, like, you know, they're both from the same world and all this stuff. And I think he's aware that, like, Louis has a shot at changing himself, at actually joining the light. And it's something that I think Ibuki will push him into doing, especially after hearing the speech he gives to Legoshi, when Louis says, like, you still have a chance to be in the light. Go be a hero, right? Like, you have that opportunity. I don't, and these people need me, so I'm going to stay here. Like, this is just how it is. But obviously, you know, Legoshi's not having any of that. And I do feel like, again, I'm just positive, based off that line, that these two will end up back together. Not as a couple, I just mean like as friends. But, you know, I'd be down to see it as a couple again. But I do think Ibuki will kind of push Louis in that direction to be like, dude, go home. Like, I'm happy that you helped us out, and you will always be the boss, but go home. That's where you belong. Like, I feel like yes, Louis was born in the darkness, but he is the light, right? So it's like, go back, right? Go with Legoshi and show the world the power of herbivores and carnivores working together. And speaking of carnivores and herbivores working together, I actually want to zero in on the scene with Kibi and Tao, because this was really strong, and I want to give them credit here, because I thought that this was, like, very profound. Like, the scene of Kibi, sort of, you know, he's in the cast, and he can, like, wiggle his fingers and stuff. And Tao goes to see him and explains, like, you know, he got suspended because of everything that happened, and he doesn't want to touch herbivores again. Like, he literally never wants to go near another herbivore, seemingly. But Kibi tells him, like, come grab my hand. Right? And he's like, what? And he's like, just hold my hand for a second, man. I'm a little emotional, okay? Just hold my damn hand, right? So, of course, Tao's like, no. But Kibi's like, just get over here. Like, he has to, like, really talk him into it. He's like, just come here. So Kibi walks over. And that scene is brilliant when he, like, holds his hand, but then Kibi wraps his fingers around his hand. And he's like, oh my god, you can move your hand? He's like, yeah, it took a lot of work, but see? Like, I don't want to live in fear of carnivores, and I also don't want to make carnivores afraid to be near me, right? And if Kibi, the precious angel he is, if Kibi got his arm ripped off by Tao, and these two are still tight, like, Tao was genuinely misty-eyed and emotional and, like, cries at the side of Kibi's bed, and Kibi's just happy that Tao is there to see him in general, right? Like, he's just genuinely happy to see him. When they're the situation that is causing this whole rift between herbivores and carnivores, that should tell the rest of the world, like, no, you guys can live together. Like, yeah, there's always going to be speed bumps, but, like, you guys do work better. This society works better together than apart. And I thought that the scene with Kibi and Tao was just super strong and a good metaphor for, like, reforging relationships, right? Like, even when something is broken, seemingly beyond repair, like something has been changed irreparably, you can still fix it. You can still keep the ties that bind you to each other and still bounce back. And I thought that whole scene was just worked as, like, a really, really solid metaphor for, like, a lot of the show's themes overall. And I appreciate that the show has been showing a lot of the other drama club characters, like, just interacting and being friends, because we don't always get to see that, so it's nice when it does show up. And I think the fact that they've been hammering home that it's not just seeing the drama club interact with each other, but it's also just seeing the fact that these carnivores and herbivores are interacting with each other and having positive relationships between each other. I think that this scene just further hammers that home, the idea that, like, these characters should be allowed to interact with each other and it shouldn't be taboo, right? But not everybody feels that way. Namely Riz, who gets really shitty, right? Like, Riz acts really shitty on purpose, saying things that he knows everyone else is gonna think is, like, nice. But of course Legoshi knows is, like, subtext is, like, Riz mocking everything. And, like, Legoshi obviously basically, like, storms over and he's, like, just grabs Riz. But what I love is that not only does, when he grabs Riz, you can see Riz, like, visibly kind of, like, look surprised because Legoshi's strength is coming to him, right? Like, he grips Riz and he really grips his arms. And it's like, but it's not quite enough to shake Riz, but it's enough to make him go, like, oh, shit, right? Like, you can see his face, like, oh, okay, that's different. But of course, you know, it's not enough to actually fight him. And if Legoshi actually does explain what happened, there's a good chance Riz, as a bear, is going to kill everybody in the drama club, including Legoshi, right? So it's like, there's nothing he can really do. So Pina thankfully comes to the rescue, and Pina has grown on me quite a bit. I usually love, like, the sort of asshole characters, and Pina really has grown on me in such a way where, like, I just like seeing this character on the screen now. And the fact that he shows up and has this moment to, like, save Legoshi, right? And then later they talk about it, and Pina doesn't act like a dick, which is the thing, right? Like, when it comes to, like, the smug characters, right, or, like, the meathead characters or something like that, like the sort of dumber characters or the more cunning and conniving characters, I like both of those archetypes, but I have to see a hint of good in them before I can really like them. And with Pina, I was sort of waiting for this, like, this moment where Pina's like, no, I got you, right? Like, where Pina's just like, no, Legoshi, I get it, right? Like, I understand, like, that, like, I understand what you're trying to do, and I respect it, and I get why you're pissed, right? But, like, you have to play this smart. I can't keep saving you every time, right? And Legoshi's like, yeah, I know, I'm sorry, right? But I just needed that one scene. I'm like, okay, Pina's great, right? And that moment, I'm like, okay, Pina's pretty great. And of course, as soon as I start to think that, I'm like, yeah, okay, Pina's pretty cool. That's when we see Riz glaring at Legoshi and Pina talking, and he breaks something. Like, he breaks this, like, I assume it's like a broom or something. He breaks it, and he splits it in twain. And you see that he's broken it, like, clean in half, and there's like a sharp, jagged edge to it. And that made me go, like, oh god. Like, is that supposed to be another metaphor? Like, is something bad about to happen? Please, no. I don't need this in my life. Like, please don't kill Pina. I literally just started liking this character. But I don't know. Who knows what's gonna happen? Like, we don't fully know, right? Like, it could be that maybe it's just, like, hinting that, like, something scary is gonna happen, but Pina's ultimately gonna be okay, or maybe he's glaring at Legoshi and not even really paying attention to Pina. I don't know, but I feel like Pina as a character has been introduced mostly just so that you could be like, what a jerk. Oh, no, wait, I like him. Oh, no, he's dead. And, like, I'm really terrified that that's where they're going, because now I do like Pina, and I would be sad if something happened to him. So I hope they don't go that route for the sake of my heart. But with that said, everybody, that is going to wrap up today's video here, so I hope you guys enjoyed. If you did, don't forget to boop that up snoot, share if you care, leave a comment down below, and of course, make sure that you hit that subscribe button, ring that bell, set notifications to all, let all of AniTube know that you're here, and before we go, as always, I want to give a big thank you to the good folks in the T Squadron. Look at these beautiful people. Look at all these beautiful names, and hey, if you'd like to join these beautiful people, there are 2 ways to do so. The first is by hitting that join button right beside the sub button. That gets you a badge next to your name, some emotes to spam in the comments, and of course your name scrolling past the screen here. Or you can go ahead and check out that Patreon link in the description. Either way, it is super appreciated. So once again, a big thank you to the good folks in the T Squadron. I really don't want anything to happen to Pina. Like, I really don't. Now I really like this dude. But yeah, that's basically everything. So yeah, bye.